Hey there, and thanks for watching VTV Channel 6. Dan Pope of KSL 5 News took a brief break from watching the weather to speak at Vernal's Centennial celebration kickoff. Stay tuned to watch VTV's exclusive full interview with him.
It's actually quite an honor to be here because my family history goes back to those who settled Ashley Valley and actually began what is the history of Vernal. My parents are from here, and because of that I've probably been to this location, to this city, more than any other place except for Salt Lake City, which is where I was born. So this is kind of my second home. And I love to come here all the time. Have a lot of relatives.
You referenced it in your remarks, of course, but it's a great place to be outdoors.
Yes.
In this part of the country.
You know, all you have to do is drive 5 miles, and you're out of the community, and you're into country that is, you know, I love to fish on the Ashley Creek, and long before they made it all artificial lures, one day I went with my cousin up there, and rather than using worms, which was easy to catch a fish, I saw all these yellow flyers, these grasshoppers that were flying around, and I said to my cousin, I wonder if the fish would eat that. They're natural food, right? So I caught one and I put it on the hook, and it was way up here above Merkley Park. Threw the line in, and I had this gigantic pole on my fishing pole, and I started to reel it in, realized it was big. And I said to my cousin, get out there, help me make sure I don't lose this fish. And as I reeled it up, he was up, you know, over his knees in the water, and we pulled out this 22-inch brown that weighed 2 1/4 pounds. That's not the end of the story. I immediately went looking for more yellow flyers. I caught one, came back to the hole, put it on my hook, threw it out, and caught another exact same size brown trout that was 21.5 inches, 2 1/4 pounds, on 2 casts with 2 yellow flyers. So I mean, Vernal, so close to the community, right up Ashley Creek, and yet so far away. And those are memories that I have of Vernal and Ashley Valley as a 10, 11-year-old boy.
And you pulled a fishing secret right out of the air.
Well, you can't use even the yellow flyers because it's all artificial, but right out of the air. It was just one of those moments. I mean, it's never happened before, hadn't happened, and probably never will happen again. But it's a memory that I have of being here as a young boy, and it really exemplifies what my whole childhood was like, because my parents, being from Vernal, traveled here probably 10 or 12, maybe 15 times a year. I mean, they were young, married, all their family was here, and they were all alone in Salt Lake City, so they came back frequently, and we spent many summer nights deer hunting, fishing, hiking here in the eastern Uintahs, and on the V up by Taylor Mountain and up through Dry Fork Canyon. We spent time there. My father deer hunted up on, well, it's up by the V. They call it the V, but it's by Bassett Springs. So those are, you know, you ask a simple little question, and I give you this gigantic non-soundbite answer. But
I like it though. That's neat.
Those are.
Well, a couple more questions. What do you remember your parents told you about Vernal? I mean, since they had the courtship here.
Yeah. My father was senior class president in 1956. They both graduated from what was before the Uintah High School, that was before the new one that's out there in Mazer, or out along the Mazer Highway. The Uintah High School I remember isn't the one that they graduated from, if I remember right.
Now Vernal Junior High. Yeah,
long time ago. So my father played basketball, and my mother and him, my mother was quiet, and you can hear those, they're doing the fireworks in the background. It's like, whoa, here we are doing this interview. Must be the finale, because they're like going all the time. But my father and mother loved each other, and they fell in love. They were young, probably too young to be married, 18 and 19. My father decided to be a barber. Well, that's a bag. And my father decided to be a barber because it was the fastest thing he could do at trade school. He opened up the trade book and looked and found something he could do in 6 months. So while my mother finished high school, he went to Salt Lake City and attained this barber certificate, and came back and married her on June 3rd, which was immediately after her graduation in 1957. So they loved each other, and they loved Vernal. My mother would tell me these stories about how she walked uphill both ways to school, and that the snow was always waist deep. That's what she'd tell me. And I know she's only remembering 1 or 2 storms, but those are the memories she had. You know, you don't remember all the mundane, boring winters where there was just cold and miserable Siberian weather here, but she always remembers those days that the snow was deeper than the tops of the fence, and you know, just those are the stories she'd tell me. But they loved Vernal, and they loved to bring me here. And I'll tell you a story I remember. I would come to stay with cousins, and I remember every summer that they would run the irrigation water, and it would come down the gutters right here on Vernal Avenue, and the streets, the several streets that go kind of north and south here. And it always amazed me. I thought, this was a desert. Why are they wasting all of this water? And what I found out is that the water coming down the gutter and the water that was in the irrigation canals was so people could water their lawns, and they'd literally take that water out of those spots. So I remember going to the canals and swimming in the summer. A lot of people do that here. I don't know if they still do it, but we would go and sneak into a deep canal and swim on a hot summer day. And so those are just one of a bazillion memories I have of Vernal. Just really good, pleasant childhood memories. Things that, you know, bring back warm feelings and positive thoughts.
And what do you say to the people of Vernal as they look forward to the next 100 years?
We will not have any concept what it'll be like 100 years from now. We'll look back on today like we looked back 100 years ago when Vernal became a city. We'll look back on these days of the internet, television, of our iPods, and say, whoa, those were the old days. Now we have, and I fill in the blank, have no idea what it'll be, but I'm sure this will seem like the olden days 100 years from now. We have no idea what it'll be like, and I suspect it'll be a good time. It'll be a time that maybe if we could, we'd step forward 100 years just to enjoy it.
That's great.
Something like that? That help you out?